So now in the Innovation Show, we welcome founders of Pointy, Charles Bibby and Mark Cummins. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's start from the start. Where you guys met?
Yeah, we both did our PhDs together. Actually, we both did robotics in college, and way back then we know each other for years and years. And we sort of went our separate ways after college. I went worked at Google for a while, and I moved to Australia. And Charles, well, I suppose you can tell your part of the story. Did something very different.
Yeah, so I went off and I was basically working in the marine electronic business and ended up doing a big security system for the London 2012 Olympics for the sailing events.
Yeah.
So lots of electronics on lots of boats. I think there's about 400 boats in total. Distributed systems, which is relevant to what we're doing now.
Brilliant. And you've a background in boats, don't you? You're interested.
I do, yeah. I've got a sort of personal interest in boats. Yeah, so I've come from a sailing family and used to live by the sea, so I've always sort of been in and around the marine world.
And so much so that that's where you live.
I live on a boat, yeah. So I live on a boat in Malahide, yeah.
Brilliant. And that was that something you were doing in the UK as well, or when you guys met, Mark, because you got in touch, you had this the light bulb moment of Pointy.
That's right, yeah.
And you reached out to Charles while he was mid some Adriatic Sea or somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually down in the Balearic Islands. So I'd gone off on a 2-year sailing adventure with my fiance at the time. And I think we were actually in Ibiza when I've got Mark's first email to say that he'd got an idea for a startup and he was looking for someone to do some hardware and software. And then we got talking, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, I emailed Charles saying, look, I know you're busy. I know this is never going to be for you, but you might know the right person. And then Charles sort of thought about it and turned his boat around and sailed back to Ireland.
So what did you say, Mark? What did you say at the time? What was the idea then as it was then?
Yeah, well, we was kind of interested in basically building a search engine for the contents of local shops. So you can Google anything you want, but if you want to find what's available in the shop around the corner, you basically have to go there and check. Like if you're looking for some particular thing, so I used to live in Australia. I'm back here in Ireland. If I want to get like Bundaberg rum or something, like it's kind of hard to get everywhere in Australia, hard to get in Ireland. And that kind of problem, like it's sort of weird. It's sort of weird that isn't possible. So we decided okay, let's build a solution to that, build a way to search what's in the shops. And the first problem to solve is like most local shops aren't online. Like, most shops in your neighborhood don't have a website, or if they have a website, it's very simple. It certainly doesn't list what they sell.
It's a brochure, basically, without the products actually.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And so we were kind of thinking, how are we going to get like the catalog of all these shops online so that we can sort of make this search engine and bring these shops into the kind of internet world. And so the solution we came up with is called what we call the Pointy Box. It's a little like hardware device that the shops plugs into their barcode scanner, and it's basically like a mobile phone, it sort of connects to the barcode scanner, and when they scan something with the scanner, it just goes straight up onto their website. So we basically make their barcode scanner like connect to their website, and so that makes it really, really easy for the shops, and like all sorts of shops who'd never have like any sort of technology, or they wouldn't have a website or anything. They can just plug this in, and in like 5 minutes they have a full website that's like live updated, and all their stock is maintained, and we figure out all the names and the pictures from them and all that kind of thing.
That's brilliant.
So that's Pointy.
So before we'll come back to Pointy in a second, but so Mark told you about this idea. You were kind of tuned out, and you were tuned into your holiday and into your fiancée now wife. So obviously you were very tuned in.
So sort of I was floating around with a notebook, coming up with ideas, my own ideas really for a startup, and Mark's idea was way better than anything that I'd come up with. It was a problem that like really resonated with me, because I was spending a lot of time traveling around foreign cities looking for things. And sometimes, to find a book in Spain might take me 2 days of traipsing around asking questions. So this was something that I could really do with, there and then. Yeah. And just thought it was a brilliant idea and desperate to get involved.
Providence as well, that you were challenged with that exact problem. Yeah. And because you started working on it straight away, like on the side of the ocean.
Yeah. So the first prototype Pointy Box was actually built at anchor off of Ibiza Island. And the problem was I'd set off on this trip with no intention of doing any development work, so I didn't have any equipment with me. So I managed to get my fiancé's dad to fly out for a holiday, basically, with a suitcase full of oscilloscopes and power supplies and soldering irons and all the things you need to do electronics. And the first Pointy Box was soldered up anchor off of Ibiza.
That's good.
Which was just to make sure that it would actually, work.
You could do it
before sailing, thousands of miles back to Ireland. Yeah.
So I love that, because we talk so much about MVPs and get it out there, build something, ship something before you actually go and create it. And you did that. And talk about it reminds me of a Google-esque hackathon, Mark, where it's let's hack this together now.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine you sitting there in the sunset and your wife going, come on, we're going for dinner. And you're going, I already have this. Yeah,
it's very much like that. Yeah, exactly like that. With a generator running as well to run the oscilloscope. Yeah.
So then let's come back to what you were saying, Mark, because I love because when I first read about you guys, and we met about 2.5 years ago, must be at this stage, or 2 years, it was the fact that the problem, not for just the consumer, not for us trying to find products or an inventory of products, was the companies don't have a mindset of how to put a website together, the time to do so, etc., etc. And it not only solves that we'll get you online as soon as possible, it's we'll do it as you're scanning the stuff anyway.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was beautiful about the product, because it's there's no excuse to do this. They literally have no excuse but to use the product.
Yeah, we try and our whole philosophy is about remove work for them, remove every friction. And even when we made design choices in the product, we were thinking if there's an A or B, let's do the alternative that's the least possible work for the shop, even to the extent of removing choices, a bit like Apple-esque, where you kind of say, okay, let's just
one button,
make it really simple.
Yeah.
And it seems to kind of be, it seems to work basically. The retailers like it. There's very little to go wrong. They just plug it in, it does its job, and it just sort of sits there a bit like a fridge or a fan or something. It's just it's
brilliant.
It can't really break, and it just connects up to their website, and then keeps their website up to date.
Yeah. So it's not only the only part of the pie, because obviously then you have to build a platform for the shops to sit upon. And I suppose the analogy I can think of that might resonate with the audience is it's like a Facebook for shops. Yeah. So you basically have a page, a profile, and under which you have your location, which is, I'm sure, unbelievably SEO friendly, Google friendly, Mark, with your background, but also then with your inventory of stock on that page.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about Airbnb, and you thought about their original challenges, it was one of them was the apartment owner is putting up really crappy images of their apartment, and that's making the platform look not so desirable. But you dealt with that nicely, because I've seen some of the imagery, and the imagery is nice because it's almost drawing from stock that's there. If the top quality picture of stock that's there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big problems for a store, if they want to put together a website, is they have to source the product data. So even if they know exactly what they stock, they've got a file of their barcodes, they have to go and get the product image and the product name. And that's a lot of work. So we centralize all that. We have we have an automated system and a team of people who make sure all those images are really good. And that just takes out a lot of the problems that the store would have doing it themselves. So we talked to some stores, and the stores who are a bit more sophisticated, who are already doing this, they might be spending 10 or 15 hours a week on it. And for a big store might have 20,000 products, and new products come in, old products go out, and the images change and stuff. And so we just basically take all that off their hands, and we do it for almost nothing, basically, because we centralize it, and so it's very cheap for them.
Yeah, and then, so once you have that, it's not over yet. So first, then the next thing you have is the network effect. So you have to get clusters of shops in at scale for the product. So it's like the telephone. The more people that have a telephone, the better it is for a telephone user.
Yeah.
Same with Pointy, because if you want people to engage with the platform, they need to be able to find a shop around their corner. So how did you deal with that challenge, getting started with building a network locally?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely critical, right? Because, we've got the Pointy app, and you can pull it out and search for things, and you want to see your neighborhood stores come up, right? And so, if we have 500 stores scattered around the world, that's no use.
Yeah.
But the way we started out, we was let's just focus on one country in Ireland, and even to begin with just one city, Dublin, and let's get real density in this area. So you've got this sort of local network effect going on. And that works for the user's point of view, and it also kind of works for the sales point of view. When you've got the stores, you can say, well, hey, look, the store down the street is on, or there's 5 shops in Blackrock that are using this now. And that sort of, that helps it get started. And, then you can kind of have these case studies where you can go to the next city and say, well, look, 1 in 10 of every shop in Dublin's, pick this up. And so maybe it's going to work pretty well in Cork as well, and so on. Yeah.
And how did you, so it was the two of you. So essentially you guys were the sales team at the start.
The very, very start, yes. Although we pretty quickly got a dedicated salesperson.
Yeah. So what was your first sale then?
The first sale was me. I walked into Donnybrook Bikes, which is my local bike shop.
Yeah.
And I asked them,
I'm a user.
Yeah. So I asked them, hey, do you want to do this? And they said, yeah. So it was it's very interesting, like, just how simple it can be.
Yeah. And also, I suppose the benefit from that is you're not only getting to meet the end client, but you're one of the end clients, I suppose, from the client side, from the shop side, but you're finding out real time data on what's their challenges, what's their obstacles, rather than sending somebody out who's reporting it back to you.
Or selling. I mean, we sell online as well. People come and sign up via our website, but like there's this huge communication gap when someone signs up via your website. Like, when you go in and talk to someone and like have a chat with them, you often learn a lot more quickly. And so we definitely spend a lot of time just walking into shops, talking to people, and that's it's very, very useful. To
try and remove any kind of friction, I suppose, or mental obstacles that they might have from using the product.
Yeah, exactly, and figure out what their real problems are, and are we working on the right things for them?
Yeah. So what?
And we go back and chat with them, from time to time, still, don't we?
Yeah.
To go back and see how's it going,
how they're experiencing the service.
Yeah.
Areas where we can improve,
Yeah, because if you think of your site it's a SaaS product essentially as well.
Right.
So your site's part of your sales team. It's doing a lot of work for you as well. Yeah. And therefore, that needs to be a really clear message. And how would you define that message on a site versus in person, I suppose?
So on the site, I think we say, you plug in this box, and basically it's going to list everything online and bring more people in the door. So that's the key message we give to them, is like bring more people through your door. You know, for a lot of website or a lot of shops, if you're a local convenience store or something, the idea of having a website isn't immediately, they're like, oh, why do I need that? But when you say like, okay, it's going to bring people in the door, you say like, you make the extra step that people are going to find you and then they come in. That's what a lot of these stores want. They don't want to have an e-commerce website, right? But they do want to have be found and have foot traffic. And so it's kind of like an advertising system to have a website in a way.
Because it's such it's one of these things that is a problem. It's a problem, but you kind of tolerate. And you guys didn't tolerate it. You went, we're going to do something about it. But when you think of where it could go, the data that you could see, the clusters of data of X product sells better than this stuff, and you could actually sell that data back to the FMCG companies and kind of go, Kerrygold sells really well in D6, or and you can actually start telling different clusters of data, and then also your collection of imagery as well, because you're creating essentially an inventory of stock images that can be used. And are they open source, or how does that work? Those images when they're
that's an enormous, like probably spent a year of our engineering time to put that together. And so we pull it from all these different sources, and then like some of those are licensed in different ways and stuff. So unfortunately we can't like just sort of
disseminate it afterwards.
But at least then we can have a good service that we can give to the people on the platform.
And that tied into a bit of your expertise in Google, didn't it, Mark?
Right, yeah. So at Google, I used to work on sort of machine learning and computer vision. So like recognizing images and saying, this image is a cat and this image is a dog, that kind of thing was what I worked on.
And context around that as well, as much as possible.
Yeah, everything to do with basically understanding images and like understanding, like sensory data.
Yeah, because didn't you work on glass?
Google Goggles was
Goggles.
The product I was on, So a lot of Google's internal... so it's actually my second startup. So my first company we sold to Google in 2010 that became part of their computer vision system.
And then that's how you went into Google?
That's right.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. And what was that product?
Well, it was sort of like a forerunner to Google Goggles. So if people have seen it, it's like Google's system where you can like point your phone at a painting and it tells you who painted it.
Brilliant.
Or it's involved in Google Photos now, for example. You can sort of type in waterfall and find all your holiday photos in front of a waterfall without having tagged them. So it understands the content. So
that's brilliant. And you can search by image now as well. Can you drag it?
Search by image is there was like a big team at Google who worked on various different products, and they're all kind of closely interrelated. So Google Translate was something I spent a lot of time on as well, where you could point at text in a foreign language and it renders it into your language. So that was something I spent a lot of time on. It's great to see people using that.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great that these things kind of force you to think differently as well. So what's next? What can we see coming out next? And I know you're building that network effect essentially, and you started with the test bed, and you're spreading that as much as possible across the country. But what else can we expect to see coming down the line? I know the app came out not too long ago.
Yeah, the app's out recently. Anyone listening, definitely give it a go. We're expanding the shop footprint a lot. Now we've recently started in New York, so
brilliant.
We're trying the US market now as well, and the product is just like, always more and more polished, which is great. Like, there's so much when you start out, you can write down a list of the things you're interested in, and it's very easy in 5 minutes to write down a list. It'll take you 3 or 4 years to actually build it all, because there's so much in doing every single thing. So now we're finally getting to the point where I feel like, okay, all right, we're really starting to tick things off the list. Like, we thought, like you mentioned there a little while ago, giving people insights back into their own data, so we can now tell a shop, like, these are the things that people are looking for online, so maybe you should start, maybe putting them front and center in your store, or that kind of thing. So it's really nice to see those things starting to mature.
Even like when you say that, like, when is the best time to advertise, a certain product or a certain sale, or you can tell seasonality and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Mark, you mentioned that you're able to refine the product time and time again much quicker now than you used to. So I know Michael Gill's part of the team, and he's kind enough to arrange the meeting twice. Who else is on the team? How many other people have you got?
7 of us altogether.
Yeah.
And there was 4 of us in engineering, and then 3 in sort of sales and operations and support and marketing and everything else. Brilliant. So we're a small team, but it's amazing how much you can get done with a small set of people who are kind of totally focused on one thing.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. And how can people get in touch?
Pointy.com. If you want to sign up as a retailer, go there, or download the app and give it a try. It's definitely have a look. It's we've had an awful lot of people try it now. It's about 200,000 people have found something through Pointy since launch. So maybe coming up on, I'd say maybe about 1 in 10 of everyone in Dublin has been on Pointy at some stage.
Brilliant.
So heading towards 1,000 people a day, you find something, isn't it? Which is great.
About 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and people are looking for everything from, we see a lot of craft beer, a lot of health foods, cosmetics, it's raining, you see people search for umbrellas sometimes, it's kind of all sorts of stuff. So it's really great to see it getting out there and getting used.
Well, Charles Bibby and Mark Cummins, founders of Pointy, thanks for coming in to us.
Thanks very much.